Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Mandy. And we're going to do this together and then we're going to dry brush that with some chameleon pigments from Eye Candy, and I've got a link below. So I've done some of these ahead of time just for the sake of time. So in this coaster I just showed you, I have some UV resin from Let's Resin in the bottom of this coaster. This is a coaster mold I got from Fluid Art Company. And you may have seen a previous video where I did this with a heart coaster mold. And so I basically just put enough UV resin in the bottom to put a thin layer on the bottom of the coaster. And now we're going to blow some bubbles. So I've mixed some Dawn dish soap and some water in a cup. So I'm going to blow bubbles. And you can see it right there. I'm going to blow some bubbles, and then I'm going to set it on top of that UV resin. Then I'm just going to cure it with my UV light. Super easy. And like I said, I did 3 of these ahead of time so I could just kind of show you the process without totally boring you. So I'm blowing bubbles, and I'm just going to scoop them with my hand and lay them on top of the coaster. I do recommend using a cup versus a bowl because you can scoop up the bubbles a lot easier in a narrow opening like that. So I'm going to put my light on there. I will also show you what happens like if one of those bubbles pops and leaves you with a large space where you have no bubbles and you want to fix that. You don't have to redo it. And that's actually about to happen. Sorry, my TV made a weird noise. So that's actually about to happen. And all we're going to do is just take a smidge more UV resin after we cure this and put it in that one spot, and then just add some more bubbles and hit it with the light again. Works pretty well. So it's a good way. You know, UV resin is not cheap, so you don't necessarily want to just throw things out when things don't work properly. So I also resined the top of the 2 hearts that I already did, and they turned out great. So I'll do a short and show those to you guys. So these are the colors we're going to be using from Eye Candy. I have a link for Eye Candy in the description box below. Sorry that the names are upside down. And I bought all of these in like a sample pack so I could try them and see which colors I really liked before I, chameleon pigments are expensive. So I got a sample pack of them. And when you dry brush, you're not using a whole lot of pigment. So I think that's one learning curve when you're using chameleon pigments or chameleon flakes, is a little bit goes a long way. And you want to maximize the way you use it because it's very expensive and you don't want to waste it. So we're also using this color. So yeah, so this part is pretty boring, but we're going to do this together. And yeah, so we're going to dry brush them together. And then all I did after this process is I mixed up some resin. I actually used Promise Epoxy, tabletop epoxy for this. And because I was already using it for a tumbler I'm working on. So I just mixed it up and I put some black resin pigment in it and just poured it over the top of these. So I will unmold it in this video as well, but I didn't bother to show you the mixing up of the resin because I'm pretty sure pouring black resin in a mold is something we all get. So you see this spot? It's kind of naked compared to the rest. So we're going to fix it. We're going to fix it. The problem is I had just basically run out of my UV resin. So I grabbed a popsicle stick and I basically scooped whatever I could get out of my UV resin bottle. And I just put it in that tiny little spot. And then we're going to hit it with the dish soap bubbles again. And even if the bubbles go everywhere, it doesn't matter because we only have resin in that one spot, right? So that's a good way to fix it. And then we're going to go ahead and dry brush. And you'll see, like I said, I already prepped 3 of these ahead of time, and we're just going to dry brush, and we're going to take these 3 colors. These are the only 3 colors I haven't used in something else, so I just decided whether they match or not. They're going in this project. All right, and this part's boring, so we're just going to speed it up. And I am really hoping that I did not accidentally fail to record the other part. Hey everyone, thanks for your patience. I started that first part of the video a long time ago, and then my camera failed to record the actual color part, so now we're going to just do it again. So I'm going to dry brush with you. I probably showed you colors in the beginning that we're not using, so forgive me. Before I forget though, because oh gosh, my camera is acting crazy. Before I forget though, Eye Candy is having a Labor Day sale, so I'm going to try to release this video so you can get that news at the same time over the weekend. So through I think September 3rd, you can use Labor 24, and it's a 15% off site-wide. But you can stack the coupon. So if you add my coupon, Hope Designs, to the Labor 24, then you would get 25% off. So that's a pretty cool deal. So what we're using today is kind of a sample pack of their Ultra Shift colors, that's all I have right now. But this doesn't just apply to that. It applies to all of their pigments. So, you know, if you're wanting to stock up, it's a good time. So I wanted to mention that before I totally forget, because I'm really bad at actually posting that stuff sometimes, because just, you know, life is busy. So what we're going to do here, we've got our bubble effect with the UV resin. Now we're going to dry brush these chameleon pigments. And I use an eye makeup brush. You can use a small paintbrush. But the thing about like a makeup brush is it's got kind of the fine hair. So it kind of gets in the little nooks and crannies really nicely. So I'm going to do, I don't even know what colors I'm going to do. Last time I did kind of like the pinkish red golds. So let's see what I haven't used in a while. Because those pinkish red golds I'm going to have to use for some other coasters I'm going to finish. So let's use Ryu Dragon, which is kind of a green, I'm not sure what it shifts to, and Benton, which is a violet. And yeah, let's just see. So what we're going to do is just kind of like camouflage, put them on. Super simple. This is super easy for beginners. And I think the bubble effect is just really cool. So let me get on the stool so I can see what you're seeing. So I probably, I'll probably take my paintbrush and do the colors all around first. So this is with chameleon pigments, you don't need a lot because they're very fine. It kind of depends on what you're doing, but like you're not going to dip them out like you would a regular mica powder. So really pretty color. So we're just gonna brush it on. I'm not too worried about perfect coverage because when you put black resin in there, it's going to pick up what you may not be able to see perfectly. I think I used too much color there. I'm gonna dust it in a couple of the other ones. Maybe I didn't, maybe that was a lie. Not really a lie, you know what I mean. So now with these, I do a top coat of resin just because you're not going to get that smooth coat on top that you're used to with that UV resin. So once I resin these and unmold them, then what I do is flip them over. I put some what's that stuff called? Oh, liquid latex on the bottom, so that I don't have to deal with resin drips. And then I just do a resin top coat, peel the liquid latex off, and then voila, right? So I'm going to go, ooh, I got that one. I got a lot of pigment in that one. So you see what I'm doing here? I got a lot more on my brush than I realized. So I'm kind of going from coaster to coaster because this right here is a lot. So let's see if we can get some of that back on our brush and move that around. Again, like you don't want to be chinchy with it, but you don't want to be just dumping it in because it's, you know, not cheap if you start just throwing it around crazy like. And I'm just going to keep revisiting these. I'm not done applying it. But this is fun. What I like about this is, you know, due to limited time, sometimes all I have time to do might be to start something. I may not have time to finish it. And what I like about this is you can kind of start something like this, set it to the side, and then when you have more time, you can come back and do the dry brushing. Like these have been sitting here waiting for me to finish this video for like a month, but they were just ready for dry brushing. And then, you know, I hope that it's not a month before I go in there and top coat them, but could be. Hopefully not though, because I want to unmold them with you, and otherwise me telling you about that coupon is not going to really do you any good if I don't get them unmolded for you, huh? Which means you may have to see the top coat part later, you know? All right, so I know I'm going to favor this Benton color over the green color, so I'm trying to put it in some of the places where I'm going to really want that detail to show. I'm also currently talking with some suppliers about potentially carrying some chameleon pigments. I don't know if I want to go down that path in life or not, but let me know what you guys think about that. I'm not going to carry, like, my goal in life is not to just resell pigments or anything, but things like this that are kind of pricey, sometimes I consider, what would it be like if I bought it and supplied it, and, you know, it's kind of purely selfish in motive, to be honest with you, because it would just make sure that the prices were right for me to use them, and so I would just kind of share that with all of you to a point, you know, like, but I'm not sure if I want to take that on. All right, this is pretty transparent looking, so I'm feeling like we probably have better coverage than it looks like, but I'm just continuing to apply it. Like, I don't want to go through all this work and have them be kind of sad. So I think what I'm going to do is, and I have used this one for another project before, so I might actually run out of this one. In this case, I'm trying to avoid like overwhelming the brush, but I don't think I'm getting enough pigment on there. So now I'm just kind of going to dab what's on my brush, and then I'm going to come back and blend it. It's probably a little too much. Okay. And then, okay, so, and then I'll kind of do the same thing with the green. What I've noticed about green things is they tend to take over. So I try to be a little more generous with other colors. I mean, a violet can take over too, but maybe it's just, maybe I prefer that takeover more than I prefer the green. I don't know. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing good. I am supposed to be studying right now, but I need a little bit of a mental break. So I'm finishing a couple of things that require resin. So I have those wave coasters I created a while back where we dry brushed them. I created molds to duplicate the single mold that I have. So now I have, I think I have enough for a set. Or maybe I just duplicated one of each, I don't know. But I have some of those kind of dry brushed and ready to go. I'm going to switch to this one for a little bit, which means I'm also going to get a different brush. I have them dry brushed and ready to go. They just need some black resin. So I'm hoping while I do these to do those, which was my strategic kind of setup for myself. It's like if you're already going to mix up black resin for these, you might as well. Ooh, okay, you may not be able to see that too well. All right, so now we're going to kind of look for the places we don't have a lot of the. You see how the green is just like, I'm here for it, you know? It's just, it's going on with a little bit more gusto. Anyway, that's kind of my plan this morning. I started a freeform geode that I cut myself with a router my dad gave me. Like, I cut it like a year and a half ago. And I had already primed it, taped the back, just, it had been in my office, not fulfilling its destiny, and so I started it. But by started it, I mean I just put the glass down and put the initial layer of resin over the glass. So I had started it for a collaboration I was going to do. Wow, that's way too much in here. I had started it for a collaboration I was going to do, and that just didn't pan out for the timing, and so I was like, well, I can either do it for the next one, or I can, ooh, I got way too much color in this one. I don't know how well you can see it, but I got way too much of that stuff on my brush. So now I'm just kind of taking it to the naked parts, and then we'll come back. Anyway, so I started that, and I was using, you know, for those of you who may or may not know, I kind of do several different things. I obviously do acrylic pouring, but I'm also a resin artist. I do geodes. I'm like no geode pro or anything, but whew, there is so much excess dust in this one. So this one's going to be really green. I'm trying to like tap it, but this one is obviously going to be quite green. I will try to hit it with some of that Benton, but it's pretty green. Anyway, and so when I do the freeform geodes, well, if I do geodes at all, I usually use like Celestial Fireglass, and they had this limited time Fireglass that had kind of like an interference film on some of the glass, so it made it look really iridescent and cool. So I bought some, and that was more than a year ago, and it's been sitting in the closet waiting for that freeform geode. So it's probably going to be really cool looking when I finally crank it out. Some of my chameleon pigment got in my coffee. But yeah, I started it, and it's just sitting in our guest room, and it of course takes up a lot of space, so I kind of need to finish it. But I had a porch leaner in there on the table where I would normally do some of the drying stuff, so I couldn't really finish it because I needed to put it on the table. So the struggles we go through as artists, right? Anyway, I hope you guys don't mind just the sharing while we do this, because I think you already know what we're doing. So yeah, I'm working on that, and then I'm going to do some, hopefully today, as a color test for that, I would like to do some geode coasters, just geode shaped coasters, right? So that as a kind of a color test, that's what I hope to do after I do this really quick and see how I feel about the colors I have in mind. I got this really beautiful color. It's a purely pigment from Color Art, which I just love the versatility of those. I'm just amazed that I can create my own colors. I use them for my door hangers. I use them for all kinds of art. I just really love them. Anyway, I got this color called River Rock, and it's like a deep teal. And I had wanted to do either a deep teal for that geode, or or like I don't know, a light teal. I just felt like a jewel tone color would go nicely with the glass. So anyway, I'm going to try that. This one part wasn't getting good coverage, so I just kind of dabbed it with a little bit of, I think it'll look better once it's done. Anyway, I know one of these is uber green, and now I'm not sure, but I think these two have more purple and these two have more green, so that kind of works out. Anyway, I want to do a color test with that by using it in a geode mold, because then I can kind of see, what will it look like when it's moderately transparent? Will it show its transparency? That kind of stuff. That's too much of that. So that's kind of my plan. And instead of using glass, I'm going to use some iridescent flakes I got from Meyer Imports, which is where I get my glitter glass from. And I'm hoping to do some more partnering with them in the future. Anyway, I think we have enough here. So our next step is going to be, which I'm not going to bore you with that. I mean, you know how to put black pigment in resin, right? So our next step is going to be, I'm going to mix up some Let's Resin, just because it typically does well from a, not being too full of bubbles perspective. And I do sometimes use my Resiners bubble removal for coasters, because you shouldn't torch your coasters. Like, it can ruin them. So, I mean, your silicone molds. So for things like silicone molds or things that I really can't torch the bubbles out of, I like to use a resin that doesn't have as many bubbles, and or put it through the Resiners machine. And I do have discounts for that machine. It is expensive, guys, but if you do a lot with molds, like what I think is very frustrating about doing work with molds, especially if you're going to turn around and sell it, is like you will have done like an earring mold or something, and then you turn around and it has a stupid bubble that's super obvious, and now you can't sell it, or you have to discount it. So to me, it's kind of worth the investment to have it, rid yourself of as many bubbles as possible, and then, whatever. This video is way too long. So hopefully you didn't mind just the sharing and caring. So what I will do off camera is I will mix a little bit of black resin pigment into some resin, just enough to color it, because these colors are going to pop on black. You could do it on white, but it's not going to be as distinct. And then I'm going to pour it, I'll unmold it, share that with you. And then what I do after that is I will, like I said, top coat, because the bottom is going to be the top, obviously. I top coat that, then peel off the liquid latex. And I usually put some sort of a backer on them. You don't have to, but I usually custom cut with the laser, some circles in cork or in felt, just to keep them from sliding all over people's furniture and scratching each other. So that's what I'll do off camera. Obviously for something like this, you would charge a little bit more because you're using so much resin, and obviously there's so many steps, but still very cool 3D effect. So anyway, I will be back for the unmolding. Thanks for hanging out and listening to me babble and just share with you some of the things that are on my mind, because you know, there's always stuff going on in there. Anyway, appreciate you guys. Don't forget about the discounts in the description box below. Tons of discounts in there available for you. Okay. Okay, here they are unmolded, but don't judge them because they're sticky on the top because some resin got underneath. They're not as purple as I had hoped. I think that greenish color kind of took over, but with a resin top coat, I think they'll still be really pretty. But you can still see kind of what we're going for. So I'll share the resin result once I get them done, but I wanted to go ahead and get this video out. Don't mind my packing material underneath. But yeah, thanks for watching. And don't forget to check the description box for coupon codes and all the things. And have a great Sunday.